It's the vibes. Where say family? Large up yourself, big up yourself. Your host Selah, Shalom in the building. Large up yourself, yeah. You know why? Cause it's the vibes. Yes, family. Large up yourself, big up yourself. I see you in the family. Linda Beach, I see you. Sharice, I see you. Conscious Flow, I see you. Big up yourself. It's the vibes. It's the vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself, family. You know what it is. Your host, Selah Shalom. Chiming in. Big up to the family. Black World family. That's the name, that's the movement. Yes, that sweet melody of music playing right there. Sounds so sweet. It's the vibes. You don't hear music like this no more. Everything is so negative. Everything is so drill music and trapped out. People forgot about music like this. Hip-hop music, real orthodox hip-hop, feel-good music. Jarmel, I see you. Yes, my brother, the beat is real smooth. That's what we need right now. With all the violence and death going on in the world, we need some smooth music. As soon as you hear trap and drill music, it automatically puts you in a negative zone, a negative connotation. Even if you speak in righteousness, it's the vibrational frequency of the low vibrational frequency of trap that gives it that negative edge. But what we're dealing with right here with this music is high vibrational frequency, high notes. You dig? My dude, Malachi Maccabee, I gotta get you on the channel, King. Definitely gonna make that happen. Salute. Honor and Humility, STL. YouTube, check him out. It's the vibes. Selah Shalom TV. According to the text, as it is written. It's the vibes. Let me go get my charger for my phone real quick, family. trying to get the child here, yeah? Hits the vibes. Where you say, family? Big up yourself, large up yourself. It's your host, Selah, Shalom in the building. Live and direct. Coming from planet Earth. Big up to the family. We here. We at it again. Yes. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling to dizzle? See y'all coming in on the chat. What's going on? Child of the Most High God, I see you, family. My Facebook family chiming in. Crawly Kid, what's good? Appreciate the knowledge and waking us up. Most definitely, you know what I mean? We just bringing people back to the Creator, man, because you know these false gods have done so much of a work. You know what I mean? To unravel 2,000 years of lies is not going to happen overnight. To crack the minds of those stuck into these false doctrines for 2,000 years is not going to be easy. The same way they looked at the Messiah Yahshua as a problem, the same way they looking at us faithists who study and bring light of the Oahspe to the Hebrew Israelite community, the Christian community, any community that deals with a belief in God, we bring that light. The Bible say, test the spirit to make thyself approved, but cats don't want to test the spirit. When you don't want to test the spirit, it's because you feel that if you're inconsistent somewhere, you possibly could be wrong, and you've been believing something that you could have been wrong in for how long? How many times we say, y'all was following this doctrine till I found out that it wasn't the truth? How many times you hear that? How many Israelites left the nation of Israel to go join the nation of the Kemetic community because they realized that, oh, the Hebrew Israelite doctrine is folly. The prophets ain't never existed. All those biblical characters are fictional. And then they leave. Because Israel don't study history, don't provide evidence. They just want you to believe in the Bible. So people who are more deeper thinkers than that, people who are more skeptic and be like, nah, that ain't sitting right, and want to question it, when they don't get their answers, they leave. That's why a lot of people leave the Israelite community, because you can't get the answers that you're looking for. And the people who leave are people who are more deep thinkers. When you look at the people on Sunday TV who left the Israelite community to come back and challenge the Israelites, they have a little bit more intelligence than the Israelites. You know why? Because they're seeking for higher knowledge, and they couldn't find it in the Bible. You see? So when we present Oahspe, we present an Oahspe because this book has more answers than questions. You know what I mean? If you was to ask somebody who read the Bible, well, what happens after we die? They may give you a couple of vague verses here and there, but when you ask us that question, we could go a plethora of ways. We could talk about the primary education of the first resurrection and the second resurrection after death, when it talks about after you die, from that moment on, 5 years in, until you're 200 years in the spirit. It gives you those answers. You want to know what is hell? It gives you those answers. Hell is not a fiery furnace you're going to burn in with the two-horned dragon standing there. But we know that the two-horned devil is false, as depicted in Christianity. But then in the Bible, it says everybody who's not in the book of life is going to be thrown into the lake of fire and burned. For how long? How long? How old is the earth? They say the earth is what? X amount of million years old? Just imagine you did some shit 2 million years ago, and you burning today for some shit you did 2 million years ago. But your Bible got you believing that, because they say when you throw your ass in the lake of fire, your ass gonna be burning in there forever, right? See that? That shit don't even make sense. It makes sense to a believer, but it don't make sense to somebody who's a deep thinker. Like, no, that ain't making sense. Like Israelites always say, like, when you discipline your kids, you don't stay mad at them forever. So if you could understand that concept, well, the same concept will work with that lake of fire. When I was 16 and read the Quran at 16, and when I read that hell is a place of purification, and you can be redeemed from hell, I read that first in the Quran. Damn, where my Quran at? Damn, do I got my Quran? No, I don't think I got my Quran with me right now. But I got my Quran. You see how this Bible is written up on like this? You see that? My Quran is the exact same way, just like this Bible. Written up all through the Quran. This is 96, 97. My Quran looked just like this in the 90s, before the millennium. See that? Yeah, yo, I ain't new to this shit. Been on it, but as the topic goes, you know, the topic says what? And there were giants in those days. I got some pictures of some giants. You know, it was a picture floating around some years back. It was a guy named Steve Quayle. He did a book he wrote a book called Giants. I forgot the exact name of it. Don't quote me, but it was called Genesis chapter 6 Giants, and he had a picture of two giants, two big dudes, and he was in the center. And I fucked around and found more pictures of them dudes. They call it Kashmir Giants. And we're going to show pictures of these cats. Go in on them. We're going to show and prove that there were giants roaming. Remnants of the giants still exist. But the Oahspe say, yo, giants in pre-pan or pre-flood, niggas was standing pretty lofty. He says man was 3 times the size of man in this day. The average man, let's say 5 feet. That's the average height. So you're talking about 15 feet like Zarathustra. In the Oahspe, it says Zarathustra was the size of 3 ordinary men. Ordinary men, 9,000 years ago. Let's just put a cap of, what is an ordinary man's size? Let's just put 5 feet. That's short, to be honest. The average man is about 5'8", let's say that. But let's just say 5 feet. So that means Zarathustra would have stood 15 feet easy. Easy. He was the largest man in the world during his day. It says no set of men could put him on his back, lay him on his back. That's how big he was, yo. Zarathustra was a giant, and he was inspired by the Creator. Just imagine you seen this 15, 16, 17, 18 feet tall man, and this nigga calling down thunder and lightning from heaven. Who the hell ain't gonna fear that? You know, Yahshua, I don't think Yahshua was no tall cat. Yahshua may have been they don't describe his height. But, you know, David was a short nigga. You know, Judah, David was short. You know, so Yahshua may have been maybe not even 6 feet probably. But Zarathustra toppling over goddamn 15 feet. Let's get a verse where it talks about Zarathustra's height real quick. Let's touch on that real quick where they speak on the height of Zarathustra. See if I can find that real quick in the Oahspe. When I first got the Oahspe, that's what my man said, the Oahspe. I was calling that shit the Oahspe until I came across, I think, the Faithists group. I forgot who told me the correct name of the Oahspe, but we were saying the Oahspe. I'm like, yo, that shit got a little ring to it. Alright, let's go to Zarathustra and talk about the size of Zarathustra. Now, the Kashmir Giants that I'm going to show, Zarathustra was taller than them cats. Because, like I said, the Oahspe say there was the size of 3 ordinary men. So, if let's just say 5 feet is ordinary, nigga, that's 15 feet. And the Kashmir Giants, their height is 7'9", and the other one is like 7'4". Just imagine double that. Zarathustra was a giant for real. Who the hell gonna go up against a man like that? Now here's an example of this is right before the flood. It talks about it talks about man's appearance, his looks, as far as size. So in the book of the Synopsis of 16 Cycles, chapter 2, verse 13, it states, "And it came to pass on the earth that the time of a generation of mortals," let me make sure I'm reading the right verse. Yeah, I'm reading the right verse. "Now it came to pass on the earth that the time of a generation of mortals has risen from 12 years to 80 years. And there were many who lived to be 300 years old." Just imagine that. Now today we see people that live to be 110 and we like, wow. They talking about pre-pan, pre-flood, pre-diluvian, man was living to be 300 years old. And it states here, "And there were many who lived to be 300 years old, and they had become very large, twice the size of men of this day." So twice the size of men of this day. This book was written in 1881, so this day is present time. The average man's size, let's say, is 5'8", 5'5". So it said how many times the size of men it was? It says, "And they become very large, twice the size of men of this day." So these niggas back then would say, let's say 10 feet. If the average man is 5, 10, 10, 11, 12 feet, so you got 10, 11, 12, 13 feet giants around this time. And it says, many of them had lived to be 300 years old, and they had become very large, twice the size of men of this day. But they were without judgment and of little sense. Hardly knew they their own species, and they mingled together, relative as well as others, so that idiocy and disease were the general fate of the tribes of men. And they were large and strong and prolific. So here is just a description that you had giants pre-pan, but they didn't have a sense of judgment. It was almost like they were primitive. The way Oahspe described, they interbreeding with their own relatives and stuff of that nature. So this wasn't an upscale, advanced people. You know what I mean? They were strong and prolific, and they were giants, but they wasn't the smartest. So that's a description of a giant pre-pan. Now let's get the other one to talk about Zarathustra. Let me see if I can find that one. 62:29. It's another verse where it talks about the giants. Here's another verse where it speaks on the giants. And this is in the Lord's first book. The Lord's first book, this is during the time of the sinking of the pen. This is the Lord's first book, chapter 1, verse 29. But there were giants in those days, in parentheses, drunks. So it says, but there were giants or drunks in those days, and in time after, meaning before the flood and after the flood. And my chosen came unto them, and they bore children to them also. And their flesh became corrupt, so that vermin inhabit them from the time of their birth to the time of their death. And they became rotten in the head with catarrh, and in the throat with ulcers and running sores, and in the lungs and joints with poison of death. And their offsprings that were born unto them came forth afflicted with the sins of their fathers and mothers, to linger in misery or to die in infancy. So these giants, they wasn't the smartest, and they wasn't the holiest and cleanest. They was corrupted in the flesh. They had disease and stuff like that. But these cats was 10 feet, 12 feet tall, that the Oahspe describes. And these is pre-flood and post-flood that these drunks or these giants existed. Now let me go to the Zarathustra, where it talks about Zarathustra's size. Now all this is we talking 25,000 years ago as far as the flood. So you talking 26, 27, 28,000 years before the flood, when these giants was roaming the earth, and after the flood a remnant of them survived. 153:14. Now, we're going to Zarathustra. Now check this. This is a description of Zarathustra. Zarathustra. So in the book of God's Word, chapter 3, verse 14, it states, so it came to pass that the virgin and her son dwelt in the forest of goats, until Zarathustra was a large man and of mature years. And his stature was equal to 3 ordinary men. 3 ordinary men. What's an ordinary man? Like I said, let's give it 5 feet. That's really short. For a man to be 5 foot is short. An ordinary man, we'll say 5'8". I'm 6 foot, 6'1". Let's just say an ordinary man is 5'8", 5'5". But let's just give it 5 feet, just to be giving it the lowest number, to show you how towering this man would have still stood at 15 feet of a man at 5 foot. So again it states, so it came to pass that the virgin and her son dwelt in the forest of goats, until Zarathustra was a large man and of mature years, and his stature was equal to 3 ordinary men, nor could any number of men lay him on his back. See that? You know, when you young, you try to wrestle and try to, body slam your partner, you know what I mean? He tried to body slam you. It said what? Nor could any number of men lay him on his back, but because of his gentleness, like a young goat, the tribes of the forest called him the Lamb of God, signifying strength and goodwill. Who else they called the Lamb of God? Didn't they call Jesus the Lamb of God? During the time of Constantine, when they were selecting these scrolls, they took a lot of the story of Zarathustra and incorporated it in the New Testament in their amalgamated text, Iesous, or Jesus. So here we have a description of Zarathustra being goddamn 15 feet tall and better. So now, let me show you some of these pictures of these Kashmir Giants to show you that Zarathustra was taller than these giants that I'm about to show you right now. Check this brother out right here. Y'all seen this picture before, I'm sure, but the others that follow, I'm sure y'all ain't seen those. Boom. Boom. Look at that. Look at those two brothers. Those are brothers too. They call it Kashmir Giants. They brothers. And that dude in the middle, he's an American, I forgot his title of work, but he went to go investigate these giants because they got word about these giants because the word spread. And look at the two giants. Look at their features. Where you think they from? Where you think them giants from? Look at the two brothers. Where you think they from? Let me let you think about that for a minute. Looking at these two brothers, look at the white man. The white man in the middle, he got to be no more than, I'm definitely over 5 feet. Let's just say he's 5'5". Look how they towering over that man. See that? But guess what? You would think that these two brothers are from Africa, right? But guess where they from? They from India. That's a Shemite. You would think those are Hamites the way they look. You would think those are Canaanites. Because when Israel went into the land of Canaan, Israel described themselves as grasshoppers in comparison to the Canaanites. So that would have made the Canaanites giants. But look at these dudes. These ain't even Hamites according to where they from. They from India. India is Shem. These are Shemites. But look at their features. Especially the one on the right. He looked like a straight Congo African, the tallest one. You see that? Yeah. So let's read the description of Zarathustra again. What did it say? So it came about that the virgin and her son dwelt in the forest of goats until Zarathustra was a large man of mature years, and his stature was equal to 3 ordinary men, nor could any number of men lay him on his back. So keep in mind, the size of Zarathustra was 3 ordinary men. That's one man right there. Put 2 men on top of that European in the middle, and that's Zarathustra. So Zarathustra would have been towering over them two brothers. Them two brothers would have been looking like the white man compared to Zarathustra. Them two brothers would have been looking like the white man while Zarathustra would have been looking like the brother. That's how tall Zarathustra would have been. You see that? Yeah. And here we have another picture of the brother. Check this out. Bang! Look at that. Look at that. And look what he has in his hand. Look what the giant has in his hand. He has a pygmy. He has an iron. He has an iron in his hand. What do I mean by iron? The iron are the little people. The irons are the sacred little people that grew to be no bigger than 4 feet. And this is in India. This picture you've seen is in India. That's not Africa. That's not Arabia. That's not Mesopotamia. That's India that they're at. They're attending, it was a king. A king was attaining like a festival or something like that. It was a festival that the king was attaining, and he accompanied by his soldiers. Those giants are soldiers. They bodyguards. Just imagine you got a nigga looking like that as your bodyguard. Check that. Look at that. Look at that. That's the same brother. Look how tall he's towering over the European. You would swear he's out of Africa, but guess what? He's from India. He's from India. Towering over that European. And this is remnants of the giants, let alone if you would have seen these people in the heyday when there was a nation of people, a nation of giants. How terrifying would you be among giants and you goddamn 5 foot and these niggas is you coming up to their waist and shit. You know what I mean? Just imagine you in a crowd of giants and you coming up to their waist. You can't even see what's going on. Now I'm gonna get another description in the Oahspe where it talks about these giants. 2044. So in the book of God's Word, chapter 17, verse 4, it states, because Zarathustra was the largest man in the world, he was easily known. And from a description of him, even those who had never seen him would know him the first time they laid their eyes on him. That's to show you how big Zarathustra was, that even if you didn't know the nigga, as soon as you see him because of his height and stature, you're going to know who he is. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like Shaquille O'Neal. You know, if you heard about him and his size and you seen him, you'd be like, okay, that's who they probably was talking about when they described such and such. Look at this picture. Look at that. That shit look like something straight out the Bible. Look at the giant with the big turban on his head. Look at his features. Look at the people. Those are Shemites. Those are Indians. Those are what they consider East Indians. But they look like Africans. They damn near look like Africans, but it's showing you the similarity between the Shemites. Now keep in mind, Shem is the lineage that Abraham come from. So now you're looking at the flock of the descendants of how Abraham's people would have looked. Look at these people. Some of them look like they could be straight out of Africa or straight out of Arabia. But these is people from India. Look at the Kashmir. Look at the giant on the right with the black. Come on, yo. And keep in mind, he's a bodyguard. When you read the description of these accounts, these niggas came there with grenades and weaponry. Like, these niggas ready to put in that pain. Just imagine you got a beef with a nigga looking like that. Come on, yo. That nigga lay a punch on you, it's over with. He knocking your noodles out your brains. You dig? So these are the Kashmir Giants. Here go another one. Bang. Look at that. That's the other brother. Look how he towering. And look at his feature compared to the Indian next to him, the other soldier. The other soldier got more of a different feature than this brother, showing you the different tribes even within Shem. The same when they talk about the different tribes of Ham, you got light skin, you got dark skin, you got white, yellow, you got all these different descriptions just in Ham, likewise in Shem. So when them fleets of Shem came off them boats, you would have what you would consider so-called African Hamite in the fleets of Shem, and vice versa. In each fleet. That's why you could find a Negroid feature in each fleet, because it was many nationalities in those fleets of ships. You see that? So you may have had a man looking like the giant, and you may have had a man looking like the soldier next to him on the same fleets of Shem. See that? And what we got here? Bang! There go another picture. Look at that. Look at the two giants. You would swear they African. You would swear they African from how they look. Look at that. See that? Israel ain't showing you this. Israel talking about they Shemites. Well, nigga, these are Shemites right here. These are the descendants of Abraham's people. And again, these, and keep in mind, these are bodyguards for the king. I forgot the name of the king, but they came. It was like a ceremony, a celebration, or something like that. That they came, and the king came with his two bodyguards, and these two bodyguards were these giants, and everybody was like, "Yo, like, what the fuck? Look at these niggas." Even the giant, even the dude to his right, they got the white turban with the black on. Even he's tall. He up there damn near with him. Look at the European between the two giants in the back. Look at him. He come to their waist. He come to their waist. Now let's read that verse again. Because Zarathustra was the largest man in the world, he was easily known. And from a description of him, even those who had never seen him would know him the first time they laid their eyes on him. Now, if I ain't never seen these two brothers right here, if you gave me a description like, yeah, it's these two dudes, man, they tall as hell, they bodyguards for the king. And if I ain't never seen them, and then them niggas rolled up looking like that, I'm going to be like, oh, that's who they talking about. Them cats. Because ain't nobody right now looking like that and that big. But look at the brothers. Look at their features. They look damn near African, but these are brothers from India. These are goddamn Shemites. Look at that. Look at that. That's a clean picture right there. Look at those brothers. You would think them niggas out of Africa. Look at that. The two short cats, they look like they from Ethiopia. They could pass as Ethiopian, Eritrean. And the dude in the middle, the giant, he could pass as a Congo. He look like a Congolese. But these niggas from India, no connection to Africa. Probably never been to the land of Ham. These niggas is hard-body Indians. Shemites. Vindu. Like the Oahspe say, Vindu. Which is India. You know what I mean? So this brother right here, he's 7 feet 9 inches, close to 8 feet tall. He's 7'9". Zarathustra would have been 15 feet tall. He would have made him look like a goddamn midget if Zarathustra was here. That's deep. Zarathustra was here 9,000 years ago. So 9,000 years ago, you could imagine seeing. And then Zarathustra was chosen by the Creator. Imagine that. The miracles that Zarathustra was doing, yo, she would have spooked you out. The miracles that Zarathustra did would have spooked you out. Read that verse one more time. Because Zarathustra was a large man, because Zarathustra was the largest man in the world, he was easily known from a description of him. Even those who had never seen him would know him the first time they laid eyes on him. Now, if you ain't never seen a nigga like that, the first time you laid eyes on him, if somebody gave you a description, you're going to be like, oh, that gotta be such and such who they was talking about. 35. See that? Find another verse where we talk about these giants. Yeah, the Bible talk about the giants, but hey, we got pictures of East Indians giants, the Kashmir Giants, in today's time. And another thing, these, like most giants you hear about, they'll have some type of health deficiency. It's some type of abnormal birth control that keeps them growing. But these giants right here, these two brothers, perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong. It was no abnormal condition. They were just natural giants. That's one of the things that they stressed when I was reading the article about them. It wasn't like they got some type of health condition and they giants based off their health condition. No. These niggas was giants with great health. So just imagine a nigga like that running your ass down in the field and he in perfect health condition. Oh, hell no. If you think goddamn, what's his name, Usain Bolt fast, just imagine these niggas on the track and field. You know what I mean? They breaking all type of world records if you get these niggas in track and field. So now in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 18, verse 12, just the first 9 it states, to thee 10, another third of my legion is committed to deal with the land of giants, in parentheses, China, and urge them on in the same way to greatness or to death, doing honor and reverence to me and my kingdoms. High raised are my generals. So that goes into something else. But it just shows you that even China had giants. It said the land of giants, and then it has in parentheses China. And this is during the Book of Wars Against Jehovah. So this was placed this time period around 4th millennium BC coming on down. Between 4th millennium BC and 1550 BC is the length of the 23rd arc cycle. So when they talk about giants in China, it's talking about that time period. That's interesting. That's real interesting. So again, you've seen these giants. Let's go on to the next pick. Bang! Look at that. Look at that. There you got the giants with the pygmies. They go the ions right there. Each country has ions. The Hamites have ions, the little people. The Shemites, the Indians have ions, the little people, and they go to evidence right there. They go to evidence of the Indian pygmies. Niggas ain't show you the Indian pygmies. You always see the African pygmies. Let me get that. Let me get the African pygmy if I could pull it up real quick. To show you. You just thought the pygmies came out of Africa. Nah. They all over. In each country, even they have stories of the Native Americans talking about the pygmies. The little people. Let me give you an example of the African pygmies. So you see it right here. The East Indian pygmies right there. You see that. Now I'm going to give you a quick description of the goddamn African pygmies. Hold on. Let me pull it up. But just take a good look at these brothers right here. It's crazy how you think your book got all the information and then lo and behold, here comes something else. Boom. So we're gonna show we see the East Indian pygmies. Now here go a picture of the African pygmies. See that? Let me bring that down. Hold up. See that? They go to African pygmy. They go to East Indian pygmy. The Shemite ions and the Hamite ions, right there in real time today. The little people. But look at the Shemites though. Look at the East Indians. Look how little they are. Look at that. And then look at the giants. So there were giants in those days, and they still around. They go to evidence. African and pygmies. Let me scale that to frame. I just want to put them side by side so you can see, but now you see. Hold up. Look at that. Fit the boom. That's the African pygmy, the Shemite pygmy. In modern times. The little people. See that? So just imagine, keep in mind now, Zarathustra was initiated in the priesthood or in the sacred rites and ceremonies by the iron. So just imagine this big dude coming to the small little dude to get initiated. And the small little dude is the one who got the knowledge of the Creator. And Zarathustra got to come get initiated. So just imagine that. Just imagine that. Just imagine you this big 15 feet dude going amongst a village of 4-footers, and they the ones who got the mysteries of the Creator. Ain't that some shit? These are the Ions. And the Oahspe says the Ions, the sacred little people, are the chosen. So the little people had the knowledge of the Creator before any other nation. The little people. So just imagine you looking at these little people and they the gatekeepers of knowledge. You would think the tall big man is. Wow, look how Jehovah does reveal, yo. You think Israelite was the chosen. Nigga, you don't even know long before Israel, these pygmies were the chosen. They the ones who had all the knowledge of the Creator. And the Oahspe shows that. See? We ain't playing no games here. Bong, look at that. Look at this one. Look at this guy. He just chilling in the middle. Look how they got his palm on his head. Like they could just grab him by the head and lift him from the head. And these are two brothers. Looking like, again, look at the features. If I would have never told you these dudes was from India, you would have swore that they were straight out of Africa, hands down. And this time period is 1903, 1910, between 1903 and 1920, within that time period. Early 1900s, see that? This was going on. Look at the turban. Look how they rocking the turban. Don't Israel wear turbans? I forgot what they call them. But Israel wear turbans. Look how they got the turbans on their head. Look how they got the turban. Look at the European in the middle, yo. Look how small he is compared to these dudes. Just imagine you came across a nation of giants like that. Keep in mind, in the Bible it said Israel was compared to grasshoppers compared to the Canaanites. So just like the white man being an Israelite and those two guys being Canaanites in comparison to size and stature, using that as an example. See? Let's see who else we got. 3, 12, 16. See what else giants they got talking about in here. So we're showing you remnants of the giants of antiquity that still exist. You know, these brothers is long gone, of course, but showing you. I wonder what they people look like. Are they giants too? That's deep. What's that? 3:12 verse 16. Let's see what that say. 3:12 verse 16. Three verses that don't really talk about giants on this one too much. Nah, I don't really talk about it on that particular verse, but just showing you. Let's go into the Persians. Persians are Shemites, 338. 338:1. It gives you a description that the Persians were giants. And we already see that in the archives of history that they were giants. We see that on the walls. They had the lofty beds. 338:1. Let's get it. So like here's a description of the Persian. It says, this is the Book of Wars against Jehovah, chapter 21, verse 1, it states, thus laid the three great countries, Arabia, Persia, and Hellas, of which Persia was mightiest people with very giants. See that? lofty bearing men and women of red copper color, with an abundance of long black hair, high in the nose and cheekbone, with determined jaws and eyes to charm and command. So right here, it's giving you a description of the Persians being giants, but the Persians had lofty beards and long hair, although these guys don't have it, but it just shows you that giants proceed, or exist, I should say, in every nation. It talks about the giants right here in Persia. I just read the last verse where it says the giants in China. Then we read the giants with Zarathustra being a giant. So these were the giants prior. There you go again. Bang, look at this one. Look at that. Look at the brother looking down like he's talking to the... Just imagine that dude looking down at you, talking to you like that. You're going to be like, yo, stop looking at me like that, yo. You scaring me. You see what I'm saying? Look at the height. Even the dude in the middle got height to him. Keep in mind, these giants, the African Congolese looking one, he's 7'9", and the other one on the right, with the white garment at the bottom, he's 7'4". Look at the dude, look at the Congolese, the one on the left giant, and look at the white man standing next to him. Look, he come to his damn belly button. Just imagine them two got to a fight. Come on. Come on. You think you can lay that giant on his back? In the story of Zarathustra, it says, nor could any number of men lay him on his back. And these dudes will be considered short in comparison to Zarathustra. They probably would have came to Zarathustra's waist. Those two giants. The same way that white boy is standing to his waist is the same way they would be looking to Zarathustra. That's deep. Bang. And they were the first copy. That's the picture that most people have seen before, but they never seen the other ones of the brothers. These are the Kashmir Giants. See that? That shit run deep, yo. Oahspe talk about these giants. See that? And there were a giant in the earth in those days and afterward. These are the remnants of the giants. Spoken about in your Bible, spoken about in all holy texts. Again, it states what? It says, and thus laid the three great countries, Arabia, Persia, Hellas, of which Persia was mightiest. Now keep in mind, Persia is still Shem. Shem equates to Persia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. All that region is Shem. So Persia would be Shem. So again, it states what? Thus laid the three great countries, Arabia, Persia, and Hellas, of which Persia was mightiest, people with very giants, lofty bearing men and women, of red copper color. See that? Red copper. What the color of them dudes right there? Although this is a picture, this picture was actually black and white, but they colorized it. But what color skin are these two brothers? Copper skin color. And what did the verse say? People with very giants, lofty bearing men and women, of red copper color, and with an abundance of long black hair. Now they probably got some hair up under that turban, or they don't, but it's showing you that the Persians were known for their lofty long hair as well. Where do we see lofty long hair? Let's go to the Persians real quick. Who are the Persians? That'll be the Shemites. Doom, there they go right there. The Persians with lofty hair. See that? These are the same people that Zarathustra came from. These are the same people that Abraham came from. These are the same people that descent is the Israelites. These are the foremothers and forefathers of the Israelites. Right here. See that? That's a Shemite. Let's read that verse again. Let's read that verse again. Let me get these guys out the background. Let me get these brothers out the background so we don't be distracted when reading the verse. Bang! So what did the verse say? Thus laid the three great countries, Arabia, Persia, and Hellas, of which Persia was mightiest, peopled with very giants, lofty bearing men and women of red copper color. What the color is that? Even that's a statue, but it's still copper color. And with an abundance of long black hair. high in the nose and cheekbones with determined jaws. This man, John Newbro, wrote this in 1880 through automatic writing, and he's describing these people to the T without any historical research or going over there. He just sat down with a typewriter, and the angels told him to sit by the typewriter, and his hands automatically write, and he produced this level of information, which coincide with creation. Show me a better man that could produce something like this if you hating on John Newbro, yo. Produce it. Produce another book that could top this, that could give you a description about history from a person who never read and researched or found other books to coincide his compilation to make the Oahspe. See that? So again, these are the same people that Zarathustra came from, copper colored, the same people that Abraham, let's read the description of Abraham real quick. They got the description of Abraham in the Oahspe, but guess what? It ain't got the description of of Abraham in the Bible. The Bible don't got the description of Abraham. That's why they could say Abraham white, because they ain't got no description. But in the Oahspe, it says Abraham was copper colored. So you could never sit there and play the color game with Abraham, because guess what? It gives you his description, hook, line, and sinker. And here go the verse right here. If you got your Oahspe Bible open, I'm going to tell you what verse and chapter and verse to go to. Go to First Book of God, chapter 8, verse 7. It states, Abram was of pure blood in Ahuin. The light of Suez had been with his forefathers and foremothers. Who was Abraham's forefathers and foremothers? The Persians, the same people you seen on the screen. The same depiction. Foremothers and forefathers since the flood. And he was large and red like new copper, and had black hair and a long beard, fierce to look upon. Now, come on. Tell me that's not the same description that you seen on the camera right there. Copper color, a long black beard, fierce to look upon. Who else is fierce to look upon? Let me show you who else is fierce to look upon. So you see in that description of the man them there, these brothers right here is fierce to look upon. The Rasta man them, the Rasta. When I go around town, fierce to look upon. Look at the man them there, fierce to look upon. That's copper burnt in the furnace right there. You see what I'm saying? So Oahspe is letting you know that these are indigenous people you dealing with in the Oahspe. Zarathustra was a black man, if they want to call him that. Look at that. Look at that. Fierce to look upon. If you're European and you ain't familiar with the Rasta culture, and you see a man like that walking down the street, fierce to look upon. Look at that man them there. Look at the hydrant there, right? Now look at this. Look at that. See that? See the Rasta man? And see the Shemite? See the resemblance? Let's go back to the Rasta man then. Bang! See that? So what I'm showing you that these Persians that's far east, from the far east, Shinar, Nineveh, all these people, the descendants that came out of Abraham, the descendants of Abraham, Abraham's forefathers, these are the people look. Oahspe just gave you the description. Red like new copper. Let's read the verse again. This is the description of Abraham in the Oahspe. Abraham was pure blood Ahuin, and the light of Suez had been with his forefathers and foremothers since the flood. And he was red, and he was large and red like new copper. Look at that brother right there. Red, new copper. That's the color of copper, right? And he was large and red like new copper, and had black hair and a long beard, fierce to look upon. But his soul was gentle as a woman. How many Rastaman look fierce, but they're the most peaceful people, yo? Rastaman don't deal with war and destruction. Rastaman deal with liberty, and vibration, positivity, and them vibes there. You don't see Rastaman talking about killing and all them things there. They may say fire burn Babylon because of Babylon wicked, but essentially Rastaman deal with peace and righteousness. So you got this fierce man to look upon, not knowing him righteousness, not knowing he righteous. So look at that. Look at the Rastaman. Look at the Rastaman. And then look at the Shemite man. One and the same, yo. One and the same. I keep telling the people, yo, these are the same people. The Persians and the Negroes are the same people, yo. Cause let's be real. Ancient Egyptians, they wasn't with this. They wasn't with that. If you came into ancient Egypt looking like this man right here, they gonna look at you like a damn goat herder, a foreigner. Like the youth man, like the Rasta man them say, yo, you was a foreigner, you know, king. Them Egyptians would have been like, yo, you was a foreigner. You was a hekakasut. You was a foreigner to the Idrin. That's what the Egyptians would have been saying to a man that looked like this. So don't get it twisted. Long hair wasn't cool in goddamn Egypt. They kept their hair cut and clean. They used to wear fake beards. You know what I mean? Mimicking the real shit. But in Persia, in this country, they grew their hair lofty in beards, and the evidence shows it. We see that even with the Rastaman. You know what I mean? Look at the Rastaman them there from the side view with them turban there. You ain't seen niggas in ancient Egypt looking like this. Niggas wasn't rocking turbans and beards in ancient Egypt. They cut that shit. They consider that unclean. Look at the Rastaman looking like the Ancient of Days. Skin like copper. The man not black man, the man copper man. Copper skin tone. That's what we is, copper skin tone people. You see that? You see that? Look at that ras clot right there in the bedroom. Fierce to look upon. Let's read that again. Let's read that again so you can understand what's going on in the Oahspe, this so-called white man book that's describing your prophets as black man in the book. It said, what about Abraham? And he was large and red like new copper. Look at that brethren there. That man copper skin tone. He not black. He's copper skin tone. He was large and red like new copper and had black hair and a long beard. Look at the man them beard. Is that not a long beard? Show me an African Hamite, an Egyptian looking like that in antiquity. But I could show you some goddamn Persians looking like that. Huh? So again, he was large and red like new copper and had black hair and a long beard, fierce to look upon. But his soul was gentle as a woman, peaceful in the bedroom. That Rastaman you're looking at could be fierce to look upon. But that man will probably give you the shirt off his back because I'm dealing with peace and righteousness. Understand what the Oahspe is telling you, that your prophet in this book is a black man. It's not denying it. Show me one verse in the Bible where it gives you a description of Abraham as being copper skin colored with the long black beard and the long hair. Show me that in the Bible. We showing you that in the Oahspe. Huh? We showing you that here. That's why the white man can say Abraham white, because you ain't got a description of him. That's why the white man can say he Moses, because you ain't got a description of him. But here in the Oahspe, it gives you a description of the prophet so you won't be confused that these people were brown-skinned people. Your people. Oahspe showing you your people in the book. You dig? Look at that. Look at the priest them. Look at the priest. The Bobo them. The Bobo Ashanti. If you ain't familiar with the Rasta community, then learn something. That's the Bobo. When you see the people with the turban on them head, them is Bobo Ashanti. That's a tribe in the Rasta community called the Bobo Ashanti. Sizzler Kalandi is the Bobo Ashanti. And then you got the Naya Bingi. The Naya Bingis is the one who do not wear locks. I mean, who do not wear turbans. These are the Naya Bingi. That's Naya Bingi right there. Those are Rastas who do not wear turbans. The Naya Bingis, you ain't gonna see Naya Bingis with the turbans like that. You're gonna see them wearing their hair out like this, beating the drum. You understand? That's what we are dealing with in the bedroom. And again, see the Rasta? Them is Bobo. When you see the turban, that's Bobo Ashanti. When you see them hair with the hair out like that, Naya Bingi. When they beating the drum like that, Naya Bingi, Bobo Ashanti. That's a little history lesson for people who don't know nothing about Rastafari. See, I was a West Indian, but know these things, they grew up in them things. I man as a Rasta man, what you mean, Bedrin? Forward yourself, yeah? I come from this, yo. That's my lineage right there. I'm a West Indian. I'm not even American. Both of my mother and father is Trinidadian, and their parents is from the Caribbean. I don't have no connection to North America as far as lineage-wise. My lineage comes from Central America and back to the east, them there. So yeah, they go your Bobo Ashanti. They go your Rastaman, them. They go your Naya Bingi. And then when we come back to what? When we come back to the Shemites, we see the same people. Keep in mind, these were the giants. Look at that bedroom there. See that? See that Rastaman? This is This is a Babylonian Assyrian right here. Huh? But look at the turban on his head, right? Look at that turban. And let's compare it to this Rasta turban right here. Not this one. But look at that. Hold up. Look at these two brothers' turban on them head, right? Look at them. See how they turban look on their head? And them garments? But then when we come back and look at the Shemites, look at that. Turban, garment, fringes. The Rastaman, turban, garment, but no fringes. They're not too big on the fringes thing, but them dealing with the garment and the turban. And then here you see it again, the garment and the turban. And where you see this shit again, like I said, the Hamite, the Egyptians didn't wear turbans and locks and shit like that. But look again, Shemite, turban. You see what I'm saying? The Egyptians didn't wear turbans. This is what the Egyptians wore right here. That's what they wore. Look at the crown. Look at the crown of Narmer. Let me move Narmer to the side right here. Look. All these are African deities right here, right? All these are African deities. Now look at El. Look at El, look at Narmer, look at Baal, and look at Osiris. All these come from East Africa. But none of these niggas got on no turban. Oh, they got on some old artificial shit. Osiris, they said that's not even a real beard. That's some old add-on shit. So these niggas all fake. These niggas all fake. As far as not being natural, you wearing fake hair and these niggas wearing mascara and all this shit. The Egyptians was doing that. These niggas wearing makeup. But look at the difference. Look at Osiris. Look at Baal. Baal ain't got no lofty beard. Look at El. El ain't got no facial hair. So the Hamites didn't rock facial hair and long hair. That's a custom of who? The Shemites. These people over here. They was rocking the lofty long hair, things of that nature. See that? Look at this brother right here. Come on. Come on. Look at his hair. Look at the locks coming from the, look at the braids coming from the back. Look at the knotted beard. Look at the bearded locks. Where do we see this type of customs in modern times? Right here with the Rasta. Look at the Rasta beard in the green. Look at the Rasta beard in the green, right? And then look at his beard. See the resemblance? Same people. Same people. Show me a nigga in Africa with lofty locks and lofty beards like that right now and coming out of ancient Kush. Coming out the south. The Watusi. Show me them rocking hairs like that. They're not rocking hair like that. Your niggas hair grow just like that. The niggas in America hair grow like that. Just like that. How many dudes I know with beards like this right here? Like that. The Rastaman them. I know enough niggas who got beards lofty like that. Like the Rasta them there. Look at the Naya Bingi. Look at his beard. Huh? Look at his beard. And then look at his beard. See that? Where you think? It's the same people. These are the same people that was enslaved and brought all the way over here. Now you got some East African, you got Persians, Persites, right over here in the land. See that? And these are the same people that descend. These people descend from them same people. See that? But if you notice, these particular brothers ain't got no facial hair. But they coming out of India. Interesting. Interesting, family. And then when you come to your brother Selah Shalom, the description of Abraham, I could say is me too. Look. What it say about Abraham? And he was red like new copper. Nigga, my skin is copper. Right? And he had black hair, long beard. My beard ain't that long, but damn near it's hanging. So, fierce to look upon, nigga. I'm fierce to look upon. I look people in the eye, they look away. You know, other nations, they be scared to look me in the eye because I'm fierce to look upon, but not knowing I'm as gentle as a lamb. Peaceful. You feel me? So, the Oahspe is describing your boy. It's describing you, Israel, as being a copper-skinned people. Then the Messiah was described as being copper-colored, burnt in a furnace. Who you think they talking about? Yo, black ass. Israel. So that's what's going on, family. Yes. Let me light up my spliff now. You dig? See what y'all talking about in the chat. The pub night, I see you. What's good? Landon, I see you. I see y'all chiming in and having a great discussion. Jehovah said the Ions, the Ahoans, the Drunks, and Asu will be seen through all generations during the cosmic era, which we are seeing now. Exactly. The only thing we may not see is Asu. Asu died early. Asu died 2,000 years after the Ions was born. So Asu was extinct in the first arc cycle after the creation of man. But the remnants, because we are genetically connected to everything preceding us, so we may have genes like those giants. So that genealogy was from the flood and beyond, but now remnants of these people are still here. Remnants of these people are still going to be born into the world. Like the Ions. They said the Ions was white and yellow. Now the only people, now when they say white and yellow, they wasn't referring to Europeans. So, the first thing you'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? When you hear, you'll be like, oh, that's European white. But they telling you that this is not the European of today when they talk about the Ions. Now, everybody is genetically connected from them people coming down. But then, when you look at the people who have yellow hair, let me show you some remnants of the yellow hair people in the East Indonesian islands. I'm gonna pull up a picture of the people from Indonesia, the Eastern Pacificas. Let me see if I can find some of them pictures. And these ain't albinos either. These people is not albinos. What I'm about to show you. But what I'm going to show you is the remnant, because we are remnants of these people of old. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you, the remnants. Just bear with the God. We're going to show you remnants of the Iron people. White and yellow. So when people see white, they're going to think Caucasian. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I thought when I first read the Oahspe. I was like, I knew they were the bullshit, but couldn't find out I was wrong. Matter of fact, it's in this Oahspe Bible right here. Let me see if I can find it where it said these niggas wasn't European. And I noticed, see, you gotta watch these publishers, they slick. Because in the blue dust jacket, it tells you that the Ions wasn't European, but in the Cosmon, in this Bible, they took that out. See, they slick. Why don't you keep that in there for the people to know that they're not referring to European, so we don't be confused. But you want to take that out, so the biased reader, the non-deep reader, is gonna look at that and be like, look, it's talking about us white people. But I'm gonna show you a verse in the Oahspe. Let me see if I still got it, where it says that no, when it refer to iron, it's not referring to what we know as European in England. It clears it up. When I read that, I was like, oh shit. So hold on, let me come back to this pictures right quick before I get that verse. Let me not get sidetracked, so I can show you the remnants of the Ions as far as hair and complexion as being white and yellow. Let's go to it. Alright, I'm gonna just pull it up here. Let me go to some of the pictures, right? We're gonna show and prove today. Where they at? Where I put? Okay, right here. Let me pull it up. No. Let me start with the elder. Let me start with the elder lady. Look at this. Boom. Let me break that big. Look at that. See the yellow hair? See that? Remnants of the Ions with yellow hair. But guess what? Look at her skin. She ain't black African. She copper, she brown skin, but she's still light. Let me show you in the Oahspe where it refers to them not being the Ions, because I was like, glad they cleared that up. But there, boom. Let me give you another picture of the remnants of the white and yellow hair as described. Look at these kids right here. Look at this. Look at this. Bang. Look at that. These is people from East Indonesia. These the East Pacifica Islander people. These are people close to Pan. They in the Pacific Ocean. They closest to Pan, but look at them. Look at their hair. So when the Oahspe say white and yellow, look, that's the remnants genetically of the same people. They just melanated. Copper skin tone. So when we say Ions and we say white and yellow, we're not talking about Europeans. They go to proof of the remnants. Because the European came later, much later. Historically speaking and genetically speaking. So we can't put the Europeans in the beginning with the Ions. They wasn't there yet. So now check this right quick. Let me show y'all something. Hold up. Click the guard. So see in this Oahspe right here, this is the blue dust jacket version right here. The Cosmon press, right? In that part, it's right here. In this part, this right here, this all this right here, they took this out in this Oahspe. Look what it says. Look what they took out. It says, where reference is made as above to white people, it does not mean what we in England and America call white people. So right here it's clearing up that the Ions in the Oahspe is not European. They took this out when they published this Bible. They should have left this in so we could be clear. So it states again, it says, where reference is made as above to white people, it does not mean what we in England and America call white people, but white in fact, with white hair also. The same remarks hold in reference to yellow people. So right there in the Oahspe is clearing up that they're not talking about Europeans as we know them today when they're talking about the Ions. So with that being said, these Ions had to have been melanated people. And the evidence shows it right there. And the evidence shows it right here again. See that? And let me show you another picture. Look at this brother. Look how white, look how yellow he is. I'm about to pull him up right here. Look at this brother right here. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Hold up. Let me enlarge this picture. Look at that. White, yellow, yellow. It says the Ions was yellow and white. That's yellow. Look at his skin complexion. See that? He look like a Super Saiyan. Kamiyamiya nigga. You know what I mean? For my Dragon Ball Z fans and shit. But look at the one to the right of him. Look at his hair yellow. Look at the yellow. These are the remnants of the Ions in the East Pacifica Islands. Close to Pan. Right there on the borders of Pan. See that? Let me get another one. I got one more. Showing you these people being... Look at the kids. Look at this. Look at that. Look at the children. Look at the children showing the remnants of the Ions. Look at that. See that? See that? And what the Oahspe say about the Ions? Let's go to it real quick in the book of the first Lord. Where it say? Where it give you the description of the Ions? When niggas thinking these people are white people. Nah, buddy. I just cleared that up. It says, and the Lord, it says this is the first book of the first lords, right? And this is when the angels interbred with man, producing the pygmy, the small people, producing these offsprings with the yellow hair. It says, and the first race was Asu, Adam, because they were of the earth only. And the name of the second race was Ion, or in parentheses, Abel, because they were capable of being taught spiritual things. See that? And it says, let's get their description, their physical description. Where that's at. Because that's one thing a lot of people who read the Oahspe, when they come across that, they're gonna be like, oh, see, they're gonna, yo, Selah, well, explain this. So in chapter 2, it states, the time of the habitation of Asu was 8,000 years, and they survived 2,000 years after the time of the birth of the pygmies, the Ions, the little people, which is to say, the Adamites, or Asu, dwelt on the earth 6,000 years, and then conceived of the children of God. After that, survived yet 2,000 years, and Asu, or Adam, disappeared off the face of the earth. So that's what I was telling the person in the comment, that Asu They became extinct in the first arc cycle. You know what I mean? So there's only remnants genetically of Asu, not no actual tribe left that from the time of Asu. They burnt themselves out in the first arc cycle. And here and verse 3 states, and there remained on the earth the sacred people, the Ions, and the carnivorous people, the drunks. Verse 4, the Ions were white and yellow. Chapter 2, verse 4, for the surface-minded people, this is where they're going to think they got one up on us. When they say, oh, look, see, the Ions are white and yellow, they're talking about European. I just read that they're not talking about European, but it says the Ions were white and yellow. What in nature is white and yellow? These niggas. These people right here precede the European genetically. Any indigenous black people precede European. Any brown skin precedes pale skin. Pale skin is the last genetic humanoid to merge on the face of the planet. Prior to the pale skin, the European wasn't pale. He still had the blue eyes with brown skin and the straight hair. Yeah. But this is the remnant of these white and yellow people. Where are these people from? Let me give you a geographical location of where these people from. We're gonna show you something, right? I'm gonna show you the continent. I'm gonna show you the country where these people that you've seen and where they from. Hold tight. Hold tight, hold tight. Everybody hold tight. See, I'm gonna give you, all right, this is where these people from. I'm about to show you where these people from. Yes, my brother. This is where these people from. Hold up, how we get here? Okay, I pressed, okay. Where we at? We at the Giants? No, we ain't at the Giants. We over here with it, all right. This is where these people from right here. All the pictures with the yellow, with the people with the yellow hair, them kids and the elderly lady and all that. This is where they from right here. Bam, this is where they from. See that? What'd that say? Malaysia. That's where they from. That's where they from. What part of the side of this? What that say? North Pacific Ocean, South Pacific Ocean. They remnants of the continent of Pan, right there. Malaysia. That's the Pacific side of the ocean. Huh? And what did the Oahspe say? The remnants that was going to survive was 12,420, and these were the remnants of the people who walked upright, the Ions, the sacred little people. And you had some other survivors. But this is where they from, Malaysia. The Pacific side. Not the Atlantic, not from Africa, not from India. They from the islands in the Pacific Ocean, being remnants of Pan. And this is how they look, unlike any other people. You don't see niggas like this running around in Africa with hair like that. You don't see niggas running around Africa with hair like that looking like this. You don't see elderly black women in Africa looking like this. These people are from Malaysia. Remnants of the people of Pan right there, melanated yellow people. So the white and yellow that the Oahspe talk about ain't no damn Europeans. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. You dig? We clean things up over here because it survives. These people from Malaysia. Let me see. They got some more pictures of them. But those two took the cake. Look at this youth them on here. Let me load this youth man here. See, this is the genetic evidence of the iron remnants of people, because we all descendants of the early races of man. I ain't got yellow hair. You know what I mean? I'm copper skin tone. I come more of the Ahu and the Gans. You can pinpoint who you are genetically. Look at this youth man here. Look at that. Look at his hair. See that? This is Malaysia. These are the children of Malaysia right here. That's where they from right there. Look at that. See that? See that? Come on, yo. Come on, yo. Look at that. These are the remnants of the iron genetics with the white, as far as the white and yellow hair. You dig? You know what I mean? So we going through the Giants. We went through the Giants. And keep in mind, the Ions stood to be no more than 4 foot tall. Let's go back to the picture of the pygmies right here. Let's go to this picture right here with the pygmies. Boom. Look at that. So you had people this little with hair like this here. So you had these people the size of these people in the beginning. And then Zarathustra was standing tall like this. See that? So these are the mysteries of Earth, yo. Genetically, the human species. You think everybody was looking like how we look today? No. You had giants, you had midgets, you had small people 3 feet tall. Look at that. That dude like 3 feet tall. They like 3 feet tall. And these is Indians. These ain't African pygmies. These is Indian pygmies. Every country had pygmies in their land. You had pygmies in North America, South America, the islands, Africa, Asia, they everywhere. Peru. These are the evidence of them people there in the bedroom. So yeah, if somebody want to play those are white people, no, boom, we hit them with the evidence. Hit them with some proof. Proof and evidence, my lad. Now look at this one. Look at this little kid. Let me pull this one up. Continually showing you remnants of the people with yellow hair. Look at this little fellow. Look at this little guy. Look at his hair. He ain't got kinky copper. He ain't got kinky brown hair. Kinky black. He got yellow hair. Where does yellow hair come from? It just popped up out the blue? The Oahspe say what? The Ions were white and yellow, but the drunks were brown and black. The Ions were small and slender, but the drunks were tall and stout. It's giving you a description of these people, yo. People ain't gonna like it, but it is what it is. Oahspe describes the brown and black people, it describes the white and yellow people, and it describes the copper colored people. It covers all races right there in the book. And the amalgamation of all these races produced what we got today. You dig? Cause it's a vibes. Yeah, yo. Things are on deep, yeah. Nap Deezy, what's good? I see you, family. Mish, what's good? I see you, Misha. Yeah, son L, what's good? I see y'all chiming in. Yashra Allah bin Israel. Shalom Aleichem, Aki. Definitely Peru, they have those giant steps. Yeah, see that? Yeah, you're right. The Peruvian. Let me see if I can pull that up right quick. What they call that? I'm going to put Peruvian steps. Peru, giant steps. See if that comes up. Yup. This is what the brother was talking about. I'm about to pull a picture up. What the brother was talking about in the comment who said the steps of Peru. This is what he's talking about, family. Now when you look at these steps, you're gonna consider did the short little people build this or did giants build this? See that? Look at these steps. This is what the brother was talking about in the chat just now. This is what he's talking about right there. Bong. Let me get myself up out the way real quick. That's what he's talking about. Look at those steps. Now the question is, who built those steps? Did this giant build them? Or did these little people build them? Now let's take a look at the steps again. Look at the people. Now this is modern times, modern day people. So those people would have been, if those giants would have been there, if this giant would have been standing on those stairs, it would have still been towering stairs for the giants. So although this man is a giant, if we talking 25,000 years pre-flood, he would have been a short man compared to the other giants that would have been roaming pre-flood or even post-flood. For stairs to be looking like this, yeah. You know, when you walk upstairs, you know, half of your foot hanging off the back part of the stair. So just imagine a giant walking up them stairs with half foot hanging off the stair. He'll be stepping on human like roaches. But don't get it twisted. Don't think that there wasn't men walking around damn near 2 stories high. We don't know half of the mysteries of Earth. You dig? We don't know everything. We discovering the remnants of history. You dig? But that's what the brother was talking about right there. I did a report in college on Malaysia before. That's nice. That's good. Need to get that information. Deep how you went in on genetics. Yeah, yo, the genetics that's where it's at, yo. And the Oahspe say the worshippers of Jehovah have long hair. I was like, word, okay, I can rock with that. Most of the prophets came with long hair. Yeshua was a Nazarene. He had to fulfill the laws of a Nazarite. In order to be a Nazarite, you had to let the locks of your hair grow. And you couldn't eat no meat. You had to be a vegetarian to be a Nazarite. So if Yeshua fulfilled the laws of being a Nazarene, he would have had the locks like I got. That's why a lot of people refer to Jesus with dreadlocks because of that line in the Bible. But all these niggas in these camps supposed to be followers of Messiah, ain't none of these niggas growing out their locks. You know what I'm saying? If you're supposed to be looking like Yeshua, if you're supposed to be looking messianic, you're supposed to be coming out this motherfucker looking like the royal king out this bitch. Not no goddamn, you know what I mean? If for those who want to be orthodox with it. You know what I mean? If you can't grow hair, if you decide to go ahead, I ain't tripping about that. But for those who want to be all orthodoxy with it. You know what I mean? Casino was good. Yeah. Kizzy Rod, I see you, Kizzy. You in the building, finally made it through. That's what it do. What that? Lise? How do you pronounce that? Steps is big as hell, no doubt. Them is giant steps, yo. We don't even know the half. And then, you know, you got the giant. Let's go to Baalbek in Canaan. You got Baalbek with that big ass temple, which was a temple to Baal. Let me see if I can pull that up. Baalbek, how you spell? See if I can pull up that right quick. That'll come up. There we go. Look at this. These are remnants of the temples of Baal. You know what I mean? Look at these artifacts left behind. These megaliths that these people was working on. And left. They didn't even finish the job for whatever reason. But it's either these niggas had advanced technology or we dealing with some giants. Giant mugs. Mother suckers. See that? Look at that. Baalbek. Look at that. Look at that big ass rock. And the pyramid blocks is bigger than that. And look, if you notice, they dug that out. Look at the grass towards that back. And look at the grass. They dug this shit out. This shit was buried. Keep in mind, Oahspe talks about how a lot of cities got buried with the fall of Aja, the fall of debris coming out the sky, sand and oil and all that, and buried. Keep in mind, let's go to the Sphinx. When they found the Sphinx, that shit was under sand. Let me see. Sphinx. Let me show y'all something with these Sphinx. I'm sure, you know, many people know that, but this is how the Sphinx looked when they first found it. Let me show you. Yeah, we going in today. And I'm going to show you how when they started digging the shit out. But the question need to be asked. What made the Sphinx and all these things get buried like the way they got buried? Niggas ain't sitting up there burying megaliths like that. Who could bury a megalith like that? That had to be a natural event to cause that to be buried like that, right? Now look at this. Look at this picture right here. Look at that. That's the Sphinx. This is when they first discovered the Sphinx. Right there. When they first found the Sphinx, that's how the shit was looking. That's how it was looking, fam. It only showed the neck when they first who was the dude that discovered it? Napoleon or whatever. That's what they seen. That's why they blew the nose off, because they was damn near the same height with the nose. If the Sphinx was all the way dug out, he couldn't have blown that nose off. The reason he blown that nose off, because the Sphinx was, that's how you see it right there. And this is how the Sphinx looks when they got to start to digging it out. Hold up, let me make it big. Boom. See that? Look at that. From here to here. But look at that. Why, how did it get like that? How did this end up like this? How did the Sphinx get all that sand? You can't tell me sand just blew in the desert and blew that shit to the point where it's over its neck. Nah. Something had to happen. Some shit fell out the sky. Or unless there was water there. Water, because they talk about water erosion on the Sphinx. So it's either two things. There had to be torrential rain going down, or something came out them goddamn skies like the time of Ajah and debris came down and buried that shit. Let me get a verse in the Oahspe where it talks about how Ajah buries cities and buries things to a point where you would never know that a whole civilization stood there. It got buried under debris, dirt and debris. Let's see if I can find Ajah where it give a description of fallen debris so you get what I'm saying. Let's see. Alright, boom, found one. 253:16. Let's go to there. $253. Did I say 13? I said 16. Ain't that something? And the wife was right. Alright, so here's an example of what I'm talking about, how the Sphinx could have ended up the way it ended up. Now in the book of Divinity, chapter 13, verse 16, it states, and in 11 days thereof, behold, Ajah began to fall on heaven and earth. The belt of meteorites gave up its stones, and showers of them rained down on the earth. See that? It says meteorites gave up. Meteorites is stones. Stones could break down into degrees of sand. You could bust down a rock into pebbles and sand. So it states what? In 11 days thereafter, behold, Ajah began to fall on earth and in heaven, and the belt of meteorites gave up its stones, and showers of them rained down on earth, and the sun became as a red ball of fire, and remained so for 166 years. See that? So that's an example of meteorites raining down debris and could well cover up monuments left that we created and shit buried, and we got to dig them out and do all that. So that's one verse where it talk about Ajah. 590. Let's see here. 590. There's another verse. 590. Let's see what this one's talking about. Yeah, this shit. The Oahspe is a Dakota. We got too much information to be worrying about non-believers. See what I'm saying? You don't learn over here. You don't get real knowledge over here. Real information and real things to make you ponder and think about. Alright, 590. Starting with verse 7. Let's see what they're talking about. Let's see what they're talking about. You see the Sphinx buried. Here go another verse when it talks about fallen Ajah. The time of, now this is in God's book of Esra, chapter 9, verse 9. And when God foresaw that darkness was near at hand, no, hold up, verse 7, I'm sorry, verse 7. The time of the fall of Ajah on earth is at hand. Compute ye the regions of the earth where it will fall most, and have determined, go ye to mortals, go ye to the mortals, prophets, who are in Suez, and cause them to prophesy unto the inhabitants of the earth. So let's read that again. Let's get clarity. The time of the fall of Ajah, which is the time of the fall of meteorites, or debris from the firmament, on earth is at hand. So this is the angel saying like, yo, in the next couple of years, yo, we're going to have some debris coming down on the earth. But look what it say. Compute ye the region, meaning determine the region where it's going to fall at. And it says, go ye to the mortal prophets who are in Suez, meaning those who are capable of hearing the voice of angels, and cause them to prophesy unto the inhabitants of the earth. Cause them to prophesy what? That in the next couple of years is going to be meteorites dropping from the firmament onto the earth. And the mathematician saluted and departed for the earth as commanded by God. Verse 9. And when God foresaw that darkness was near at hand for a period of 400 years, he commanded his holy council and his heavenly kingdoms to pray to Jehovah for the space of one day for wisdom and strength. Look at that. They prayed for a whole day about this little situation that's going to take place. Now let's see. All right, now let's go on. In answer to their prayers, there came a swift messenger from Leka, Orion chief, son of Jehovah. He came from Oahspe in the Etherian worlds. So they telling you what is. So true God is praying to Jehovah for an answer to do as far as like this coming Ajah, this period where this debris is about to fall on earth, because once this debris fall, it's going to cause great change and havoc. So it states in verse 10, in answer to their prayers, there came a swift messenger, a melech, an angel from Leka, Orion chief, son of Jehovah. He came from Oahspe in the Etherian world. So they're giving you the places where these niggas coming from. In an Etherian arrow ship with 30,000. So in answer to true God's prayer, here comes an Etherian from a particular location, coming an Etherian ship, an arrow ship. They even say the arrow ship. So if it's an arrow ship, that means they coming in great speed, because arrows fly swift. With 30,000. His name was Yetapartis, god of Irasa, in the plains of Wu Sin. And when he had come before the throne of God, duly saluting, he said, in Jehovah's name, I see how these gods come in the Creator's name. He didn't come in his name. He said, I come in the Jehovah's name, the Creator. So he says, in Jehovah's name I come, greeting by his son, Leka. God said, in Jehovah's name, look, even God said, in Jehovah's name I am blessed. See, they giving praises to the Creator even before they start their speech. So the angel came and said, yo, in Jehovah's name I come, greetings by his son Leka. Then God said, in Jehovah's name I am blessed by thy presence, God of Irasa, Neravinian host. See how they talk? See the respect that they have for the Creator? They declare the Creator first, denouncing themselves. He says, what would thou? Verse 12. Yotaparta said, by command of Jehovah, through his exalted Son, thou shalt withdraw thy emissaries from the kingdoms of Baal and Ashtoreth, and from all kingdoms of the earth, whose mortals pay obedience to false gods. Ajah for 400 years will fall upon the earth and her heavens. And what is Ajah? Meteorite debris. We already described it described what Ajah is. Debris that's going to fall from the sky. So it says, Ajah of 400 years will fall upon the earth and her heavens. It is so determined and provided by the holy Etherian dispensers of roads in Vagrapathan, of which matter I am sent to thee, that thou mayest be duly provided thereof. See that? Look at the respect and look at the order. And it says, verse 13, the time is now at hand when the ions will cease to dwell on the earth. The darkness which is necessary to the earth will be too much for them. The heavens that they have heretofore received their spirits shall be dissolved. The heavens that have heretofore received their spirit shall be dissolved, and the plateau thereof removed to the outer rim of the earth's vortex. So right here, just showing you how they're preparing for the fall of meteorite debris. See that? And that's what buried these goddamn these bodies of the Sphinx. Because look how they dug, look how much work they had to take to dig that out right there. You think that's an easy job? To go from this to this? You think that's easy work? Let's get a look of how the Sphinx look today, to show you how far they done came as far as cleaning the Sphinx up. Let me show you this. See what's going on. Look at this here. Let's get it. What you seen is the Sphinx when they started working on them. This is the Sphinx today. This is the Sphinx today. See that? That's the Sphinx today. But it started like this. When Napoleon them came on the scene, it was probably more covered than that. It was probably covered all the way to the head. That's why Napoleon he blew the nose off. You know, you can't blow the nose off of a cannon down where they at and lean it up. No, that cannon had to be level for it to blow their face off. So it shows you even in this picture that there was more sand and debris during the days of Napoleon. And then from that, it went from that to that, and then from that to this. They dug that shit out. That shit was buried in the sand. And Oahspe shows you how during the time of Ajah, these atmospheric densities condense the atmosphere and these debris fall because of the weight of the density. Because you have a meteorite density. Let me show you, because they talking about falling meteorites in the Oahspe during the time of Ajah. Now they have a meteorite region. Let's pull that up in the atmosphere. Let's get that. Let's get that. Here go an example. Here's an example of what I'm talking about as far as the meteorite. There's a meteorite belt within the vortex of the earth. Right? Here you go right here. And it is when the earth passes through Ajah, which is a dense atmospheric pressure, it causes the belt of the meteorites to fall. Now look at this. This is the solar system, a depiction of the solar system. And what does it say? Main asteroid belt. And look, it's above the earth. So when the earth and the solar system is traveling through regions of Ajah, where the atmosphere gets condensed to the point where the meteorite belt is broken loose and debris is falling to the earth, because the meteorite belt is above us, not below us. So here go. Let's read a verse again. Now that you see a description of the meteorite belt, and that, see, the belt is holding based off the density that it's in. But if the solar system is traveling and it moves through a region where the density is strong, then that debris or those meteorite belts will fall and precipitate to the earth. It'll be drawn into the vortex, drawn into the center of the vortex. And the center is where? The earth. Every celestial body is the center of this vortex. So when you look at the sun, you're looking at the center of the vortex. When you look at the earth, you're looking at the center of the vortex. So now that we understand the meteorite belt, let's read the verse of Ajah when it talks about the meteorite belts falling again. Matter of fact, in the book of Divinity, it gives you a good description of when the meteorite fall. And I'm gonna go ahead and find that and read that, because that's a good description coinciding to the picture. Now let me get that verse where it talks about it. Let's talk about it. Oh yeah, we going in today. We ain't gonna get this out the Bible, I'll tell you that. This is why the revelation of the Creator must proceed. You know what I mean? You read the same old shit in the Bible, day in, day out, same boring ass verses. You ain't learning nothing new. But here the Oahspe got a plethora of revelations for you to indulge in and increase your knowledge in the Creator. See what took place in the past. See how his heavens work. In your Bible, when it talks about fire and brimstones coming from heaven, these are not God throwing them down. These are cosmological cycles that the earth goes through. Just like you go through a tornado, just like you drive through a storm. And then when you come out that storm, it's sunlight. You see that? Here we go. I found the verse. Now here it is right here. Now, this is in the book of Divinity, chapter 17. I'm going to start from verse 1. But even gods fail at times. But by failure do all persons learn there are higher powers. Only Jehovah never fails. Verse 2. In the last month of the last year of Ajah, even while God, Jehovah's Son, and his Lord and God, and his Lord gods, and his lords and sub-gods, were proud of heart that they should carry the earth and her heavens through safely, they met sore trials. This then is what happened. Now hear about, check this. A comet came within the Earth's vortex. Where did this comet come from? From the meteorite belt within the regions of the atmosphere. So it states, a comet came within the Earth's vortex and was drawn in, even as floating drift is drawn within a whirlpool in a river. The substance of the comet was condensed and fell on the Earth in mist and dust and ash. That's exactly what the meteorite belt is made up of. And the earth and the heavens above the earth were in darkness 12 days. And the darkness was so great that man could not see his hand before him. Imagine that. Imagine that. A damn meteorite hit the planet, and then it produced darkness to the point where you can't see. It's so dark you can't see your hand in front of you. Man, that's a terrifying darkness. So again, Oahspe is showing you that, look, falling debris comes from the meteorite region, the meteorite belt. When that belt is loosened, or that belt gets too condensed, meaning if it's too condensed, the weight is out, it's stronger than what it usually is. It's gonna fall, just like rain. The reason it rains because the density becomes so dense, the water drops. It can't sustain itself no more in the atmosphere. It let loose. The same way rain let loose and falls is the same way meteorite debris let loose and fall during the time of Ajah. See that? Let's get Ajah again. Where Ajah? Showing proof the mysteries of the Oahspe. See that? I'm on the run and talking about the Oahspe, not knowing all this information in here. So let's see here. Let's go back to verse, what's that, 590? Verse 7. 590, verse 7. So it says, and when God foresaw that darkness, no, the time of the fall of Ajah on the earth is at hand. Compute ye the regions of the earth where it may fall. So they computing where it could fall. So it's not falling anywhere. It falls on different areas of the earth wherever that density is most at. So if you're going through the region of Ajah and the density is strongest over the land of Asia, that's where the greatest portion of meteorite activity is going to fall at. But I just wanted to show you that the meteorite belt is where, when the earth goes through these density periods, or these periods of Ajah, Jayah that they talk about, these nebula, is when the density is so strong that it precipitates meteorites to the planet. See that? So when we see the Sphinx buried up all the way in sand, the way it is, now you know why, yo. That's one of the mysteries. You know what I mean? Jehovah said, I come to clear up the mysteries of heaven and earth. Jehovah say that. I come to clear up the mysteries for heaven and earth for you guys. You dig? They got these examples laid out. Hook, line, and sinker. Here go another example of the meteorite belt. Just showing, they got illustrations of these things showing you that things just don't come out the sky from thin air. They got atmospheric debris. They got things in the atmosphere above us that's lingering. See that? That's another description. See the vortex? See the sun in the center? The lines, the circle, those are the vortex. See that? The rings is the vortex in your rings. But then it says what? The main asteroid belt. Yeah, once that belt is loosened, bam, falling debris gonna fall to the planet, yo. That's how we move in, King. Just so we move in. Because it's a vibes. Yes, family, friend. Francis, what's good? See y'all tapping in. So that's what we doing. Let me light my spliff, yo. You know what I mean? Touching on the Giants, you know what I mean? We touching on The Ions being white and yellow, but melanated people. You dig? It's a vibes. What you say, family? Love, peace, and wisdom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Francis, shalom. Anybody got any questions? Holla at your boy Selah. Shalom. We just ran through a little quick lesson dealing with the Giants, the Kashmir Giants, the East Indians, the Negroids in the East. Because these niggas is out of India. Like I showed you, these Giants, let me show you the picture of the Giants. These niggas out of India. He out of India, but he a Negro. You know what I mean? Where you at? Oh, that's the iron. Look at these cats. Look at that. Bong. These is from India, but they Negroids. They Negroids. They Negroid in feature. Showing you that you don't know what the Shem, the fleets of Shem contained. The way we know is the remnants that exist there now. If these two brothers, if you seen these two brothers, you would have think they straight out of Africa. Or Arabia, especially the one on the left. He looked like he's straight out of Prince of Persia. Both of them niggas look like they from Prince of Persia. And guess what? Persia is Shem. I mean, look, it's hot over there. Look what they got on. I know they got to be hot. India hot as hell. Look what they got on, yo. Niggas ain't dressing like that in Africa, wearing all that clothes. You dig? Shit run deep, yo. Look at that. Look at the bedrooms, them with them turban there. You know what I mean? Who rock turban in these days and times? The Rastaman, them. Culture and customs, yo. Look at that. Look at that shit, yo. I ain't gonna lie, that shit look kind of fruity, but them niggas wildin'. Look at the white dude. He all comfortable grabbing the nigga knee and shit. Like, what the hell really going on over there? Them niggas tripping. That's what they I don't know what type of love they be showing in the East. They be showing that unorthodox love. Like, come over here, my brother. Let me rub your head. Look at that. That shit wild, yo. Look at him. He's sitting down. Look at that. Damn, that's, you know what I'm saying? Niggas ain't doing that over here. We ain't sitting down and you put my hand around me taking pictures. They dealing with a different type of custom and culture over there in the East, yo. You sit down, a nigga sit down like you gonna swing on that nigga. Like, yo, get the fuck off me, son. What the hell is wrong with you? That's how we moving over here. You dig? Look at that. Look at them man there. The dude to the left look like Selassie, you know what I mean? He look like he from Ethiopia. The giant look like he Congolese. He like he straight from the Congo. And the dude on the right look like that. Man, I Rastaman them look like. But them is Indian, them is Shemites. And when I say Shemites, we're not talking about a man named Shem. We're talking about the fleets of the boats that landed in India after the flood. The 34 fleets of ships that landed in India. The niggas that came out, them is the resemblance of them people. That's the evidence, is the existence of the people there today. The only people who did most of the migrations was the Hamites. Oahspe say the Hamites is the one who really migrated throughout the planet, but the Shemites and the Japhetites or the Chinese, they stayed in their lands. They didn't migrate like the Hamites. That's why you can find us all over the goddamn planet. But the Indians and the and the Chinese, they remained in their lands. Oahspe talk on that too. Yeah. Look at the pygmy them. The liquid people there. Look at that, yo. That shit is bugged out. Now keep in mind, the Oahspe say some of these giants was having sex with the goddamn iron. So just imagine that big dude having sex with that little lady. Or a little lady that size of that of the irons. Boy, she gonna be balling for her life, yo. Look at that side view. The man them tall, my bad. Even the other one right next to him with the sword, whatever he holding, that bat. The other dude like he holding a rifle or something, some type of weapon. It like a rifle. Cause when I read the article, these niggas was bodyguards for the king, and they said these niggas was like willing to do anything to protect the king. So you don't want to get on these dudes' bad side. Not once in, you don't want to get on these dudes' bad side at all. Because if these niggas carrying swords and they swing a sword at your ass with all they might, your ass gonna get chopped in half with the potential strength that these dudes have. You know what I mean? Just imagine that dude slice you with a goddamn sword with all his might coming at the Indian, the soldier next to him. Man, he gonna probably cut his body in half. Definitely his head coming off his head. If you go for a head chop, that head is definitely coming off with the strength of a dude of that stature. Look at that. This shit looks like some shit straight out the Bible. But guess what? He's a bodyguard. Look at the soldiers in the back. They came there to defend the king at this to guard the king when he came to the ceremony. You could do the article in the history on this. It's called the Kashmir Giants, and you could get the background and do the history. But I just want to illustrate the pictures to show that how these giants, the remnants of them, still exist. See that? These is warriors, right? That's the warrior class. Those are who came to protect the king. You try the king, you try to assassinate the king, them dudes is going to work. Them two giants, that's the last motherfuckers I would have wanted to be goddamn swinging swords with. See that? And look at the giant holding the pygmy. That's a grown man or grown woman, one of the two, but that's a grown person. That ain't no baby. That's an adult. But look at them. So this is evidence of our times of when they talk about the little people, the sacred little people, and the giants. This is remnants of them today that we see here. You dig? Because it survives. Yeah, man. Selah, Shalom, gonna bring it to you, yo. Nephilims, what? Why do the Christians think the Nephilims were giants, but they are not? Interesting. Yeah, Nephilims mean fallen ones, those who fell. Nephilims and Anunnaki is kind of like one of the same thing. You know what I mean? But there was giants in those days. And afterward, the Oahspe said these dudes lived to be 300 years old. Said these dudes could grab the thigh of a damn horse and crush it. I'm like, nigga, what kind of giant is that? I'm like, who could do that? And they still here, Misha. That's right. Tasman was good. I see you. Shalom Aleichem Malech. To the king. There is a planet far larger than our own. Oh yeah, they got spaceships. The Oahspe describes that's bigger than the planet. They got spaceships that are so big that they can't even come in our atmosphere, yo. They got the Etherian realms, but them Etherian shit, some of the description the Oahspe gives to these Etherian ships, if they was to fucking touch down and let themselves be seen, nigga, wider than the sun, wider than the earth. They got ships wider than the earth. So that means if you was to look up as far as you could see left and as far as you could see right, the expand of them spaceships is like that. So if they was to come overhead, nigga, they blocking out everything. Sunlight, moonlight, starlight, total darkness. If them ships was to fly overhead, when they describe some of these ships, 500 by 500 miles and things of that nature. Let a 500 by 500 mile spaceship come across your head. Everything is blacked out, no sunlight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, Israel talking about the chariots, nigga. Them chariots ain't what you think, boy. You're going to be fearful if them chariots was to descend. You're going to tremble in your bones, and you're aware of the chariots, and you still going to tremble. Because it's an abnormal sight. It's something that we don't normally see. You know what I mean? When you see, if you ever seen a meteorite or a fall, or what they say, a falling star, if you ever seen that shit looks spooky for me. If that shit was to linger for about a good 10 seconds, and the way that shit be dazzling and falling at the speed of rate that shit be falling at, that shit could be fearful to look upon and see that shit, because you ain't used to seeing no shit like that. It looked nice going, but if that motherfucker kept going and like it's about to hit the earth, you gonna start panicking. What the fuck going on here? Trevon, what's good? Trevor. I'm gonna see you, Bedrin. See the family them. Yeah, yo. Them giants, man. Just imagine you at night about to go to battle and you got to see a giant like that. What's that verse in this Bible where it talk about Israel were like giants to whoever? Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. the verse where it talk about Israelites was like grasshoppers compared to the Canaanites. What verse that is? Let me see. Who can pull that in the chat? Let me see. Israelites. Let me see. Grasshoppers. Shit, I don't even know how to block people on this shit. I ain't figured that shit out yet. Just ignore them, yo. I don't pay niggas no mind. If they ain't making sense, just ignore them. So check it. Alright. Somebody mentioned Nephilims earlier, so you was close to it, because in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, it states, and there we saw the giants. Let me go back to the giants, goddammit. Let me make this shit make sense. Let's go to the giants. Hold on, where that picture at with the two brothers? No, I'm in the wrong folder. Bong. There we go. There we go. Let's get to these guys. That picture right there, that's the cold-blooded picture right there. So let's read this verse in the Bible. Come on. Hold on. In the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, it states, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Let me read that again. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So the white man, he will be considered a grasshopper in comparison to the giants. And of course, these giants even stood at taller stature than these brothers right here. Just to show you. But Israel was described as grasshoppers, so that means Israel wasn't a tall people. You know what I mean? They say David was short. Saul was tall though, the Benjamite. But for the most part, they were still considered grasshoppers compared to the sons of Anak. And it says Anak. It's funny, maybe Anunnaki or some shit, you know what I mean? Playing word games, but yeah. That's just to show you right there, yo. The remnants of the giants is here. And it's a vibes. 41 in the chat. Press your likes. Big up your likes. Press your likes. Light your light to up. Yeah, man, that shit run deep, yo. You know what I mean? Touching on them giants. Touching on the Shemites. And keep in mind, them giants come out of Shem. That's India. Them pygmies we showed you come out of Shem. But then we showed you the African pygmies, showing you that this is different genealogies, different genetic gene pools we dealing with. Yes, family. Large up yourself, big up yourself. Yeah, there were giants in America too. Let me pull that up. Let's see if we can pull up a picture of the giants in America. They were called the redhead giants. See, that's a whole nother shit. Yeah. See, we got to go by the evidence left behind. Like here, let me see. These are some of the evidence. But this is mainly in Peru, though. But it's still the Americas, Central America. Central America. Yeah, this shit run deep. Hold up. You know what I mean? pull this guy up. Now this is a phenotype that feature a skull that is not of normal attribute. Where is that? Hold on. Let me see their eyes, Kashmir. Yeah. So hold up, it should be able to pull up. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. That's why I know my brother. Alright, hold up, damn. I need to get me a mouse. Check this. Like this brother here. See that? See that skull? You know what I mean? That ain't normal. That ain't a normal skull right there. You see that? But that was discovered in Peru. Look at the forehead. Now Oahspe talk about the flatheads. That's a flat skull right there. Do I need to read the verse about the flatheads? And the purpose of the flatheads? Or shall I save that for another time? Yeah. Let me see if I can find another picture of these skulls, yo. I know y'all seen them before. These things was found in South America, in Peru. In the southern regions. You know what I mean? They ain't tell you about this. They ain't tell you about this guy in your Bible. These are remnants of the flatheads. Let me get you another flathead. See that? See that? Flatheads. What is the flathead? They used to compress their head. They used to compress their skull. They used to wrap. When the baby was an infant, they'll wrap a board around the infant's head to compress the forebrain, driving the forebrain into the upper regions of the brain. Let me go into the Oahspe and read the flatheads. See, I'm gonna teach y'all something y'all don't know who don't know. If you read the Bible, you definitely don't know about the flatheads. They don't talk about that. This is the beautiful thing about the Oahspe. It has a plethora of information to indulge in and study. And then you can backtrack the history and look up to see if this add up historically, if they have any historical proof. So we're talking about flatheads. There go the flatheads right there, the evidence of the skull. Now let's read a verse in the Oahspe where it talk about the flatheads. 250 verse 19. Alright, let's go to 250. Page 250. If you got the same book I got, you can go to page 250 verse 9. Let's see where we at with it. Is it 250? Let me see. 250:19. Your boy be off. 250:19. Let me see where we at. Let me highlight that joint. Oh, that's on the other page. So it's one of those. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, we're going to show the truth about these flatheads right here. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Now check this out. Now you see that their skull is compressed. That's not a normal skull. Their skulls is compressed. How did their skulls get like that? They wasn't born like that. They wrapped the board and compressed it at birth. And here's a description in the Oahspe where it speaks of that. And the reason why. This is in the Book of Divinity, chapter 11, verse 22, where it states, so Ahura was a false god at this time. It states, Ahura, the false god's emissaries, inspired thousands of experiments to be made, whereby a prophet or a seer could be made amongst the mongrels. So this false god is trying to raise up a prophet by doing what? Different experiments. You see that? And Jehovah suffered them to discover that by pressing down on the front brain of an infant, they could be made capable of suicide. See that? That's the purpose of them compressing the skull during infancy, is because, let's read it again. Let's read it again. And Jehovah suffered them to discover that by pressing down the front brain of the infants, they could be made capable of suas. What is suas? The ability to hear and see spirits. Now you know. And now check this out. And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on the forehead to press the head flat, just as you see with these skulls here. And every day the headboard was strapped on anew, tighter and tighter, until the forehead, which holds the corporeal judgment, the frontal lobe, was pressed flat, and the judgment of the brain driven up into the light perceiving regions at the top of the head. See that? This is what they were doing. This is how they discovered how you could become a suas, a clairvoyant, clairaudient, by compressing the head. But who did this? The false god was doing this, because he was trying to figure out how to raise him up a prophet, because he don't know the ways of raising a prophet, because that was with the followers of Jehovah and the followers of true God and Jehovah. The masters of generations are the one who deal with raising prophets, messiahs, and messengers. It's a group of angels that literally deal with raising prophets by controlling the genealogy, the parents, the husband and wife. They draw inspiration upon them. So he don't have that side on him, this false god. So he goes another route, trying to do experiments. And this is, he discovered, and it says what? And Jehovah suffered them to discover that by pressing down the front brain in infants, they could be made capable of suas. And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on their forehead to press the head flat. And every day the headboard was strapped on anew, tighter and tighter, until the forehead, the frontal lobe, which holds the corporeal judgment, was pressed flat, and the judgment, which is the frontal lobe of the brain, driven up into light perceiving regions at the top of the head. See that? Verse 23. Or who were the false god thus raised up prophets and seers, and they were willing instruments in his hands. And he sent into all divisions of the earth tens of thousands of angels, teaching this to mortals, thus laying down the foundation of his great scheme of reducing heaven and earth to his heavenly kingdom. See that? The false gods had niggas compressing their heads to raise prophets, and here's the evidence of the skulls left behind. These is found in Peru. Let's pull up some more pictures of the flatheads. See that? You wasn't expecting that one. You wasn't expecting the Oahspe to pull that out the box. Huh? Show me that in the Bible. Show me relevance to these skulls that you could pull a verse in the Bible. As far as why are their skulls flat and not normal like our skulls. See that? Come on. Oahspe got the answers. Oahspe got the answers. Show you something, yo. I'm dropping down some of these pictures, yeah? Yeah? Got me talking in my British accent. Yeah? So look at the skulls. Let's pull up some more skulls to show you that it's evidence of these things. Look at this one right here. Look at this one right here. Let me pull it up. Look at that. Look at that, her eyes cloud. See that? See that? Let me get me out the way. So I can see that? Look at that. What the verse say? What the Oahspe say? And Jehovah suffered them to discover that by pressing down the front brain in infants, that they could be made capable of suas. And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on the forehead to press the head flat, just like you see here. So these things was done when they was an infant. You see what I'm saying? Let me get it. There is actually an illustration of this of the flatheads. It was actually an illustration they had where they were showing a mother doing that, flattening the head of their infant. but it was an illustration. Here you go, I found it. Bang. Blood clot. See that? Ras. Ras. When I show you this picture right here and read the verse over what I just read, showing you evidence. You think John Newbro was running around the world figuring out flatheads? This is showing you more value of the Oahspe. If this shit was written by automatic writing and it's showing and proving historical events, historical evidence, y'all niggas better get out of here with that. Now look at this. See that? That's a native Indian. That look like an Aztec or something. But look at the baby and look at the head being compressed. The head is being compressed to form this right here. To form that as an adult. So when the baby get older, the skull is going to resemble this. And guess what? This was found in Peru. Look at this illustration. These are Central and South Americans right here. This is in the Americas. This ain't over in India and Africa. But these same things was going on over there too. But look at the evidence right here. Now let's read the verse again. Now that you see the board strap, what did the verse say? For those who got the Oahspe, to find this verse is in the Book of Divinity, chapter 11, verse 22. And it states, and I'm going to just go to the gut of it. And Jehovah suffered them to discover that by pressing down the front brain of infants, they could be made capable of suas. Capable of suas is what? Hearing and seeing angels. And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on the forehead to press the head flat. And every day the headboard was strapped on anew, tighter and tighter, until the forehead, which holdeth the corporeal judgment, the frontal lobe, was compressed flat, and the judgment of the brain driven up into light perceiving regions at the top of the head. See that? And then verse 23 states, what's Ahura the false god thus raised up prophets and seers, and they were willing instruments in his hands. See that? See that? That's what's going on here. That's what's going on here. They were making prophets by compressing the forehead, the frontal lobe, into the top regions of the brain. Where it states in the verse, where it states, right here where it states, and the judgment of the brain driven up into light perceiving regions at the top of the head. Where it say light perceiving regions, I'll give you an example right now. If you was to take your eyes and just look straight up, try to look straight up, you're going to see those light perceiving regions. It's going to look like ultra lights. It's going to look like lights reflecting. Look straight up like you're trying to look up to your brain. Look up to the ceiling with your eyes straight as far as you could go, and you're going to see those light perceiving regions that they talking about. So if you compress in the brain from a child, because when the baby is born, the infant skull is still soft. You could mold the skull of an infant. And this is what they were doing, yo. This false god Ahura was doing this to raise up prophets of his own. But these were prophets of the false god, not the true and living. So there go your example of why skulls is compressed flat. And where do we see this of compression of the skulls at too? This is South America. This is in the Americas. We seeing this. And here go another example. Oh yeah, we going in tonight. Here go another example of a baby with the compressed skull, strapped on with boards, just like the Oahspe describes. See that? Look at this. Look at this picture right here. Bang! Look at that. Hold on. Let me make it to where you can see it on the screen. Bang! Look at that. Let me get them out of there. Out of here. Out of here. Look at that. Look at the baby. Hold up. Look at the baby. Look at this. Look at that. Look at the two pictures. Look at the two pictures. The baby on the left, you see the board wrapped around the baby. You see the baby tied down. And you see the board compressed on the baby's forehead on the left. The indigenous Americans. And then on the right, you see the same thing. See that? According to the Israelites, they say these are the lost tribes of Israel. Well, what they do is strapping boards to their head. Explain that in the Bible. Explain this picture according to the Bible. We can explain this picture according to the Oahspe. We can explain this according to the Oahspe. What did it say? Why they was compressing their heads like that? What did the book say? And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on the forehead to compress the head flat. And every day the headboard was strapped on anew, tighter and tighter, until the forehead, which holds the corporeal judgment, was pressed flat, and the judgment of the brain driven up into the light perceiving regions at the top of the head. And the reason they was doing this was to make oracles or mediums, people who could hear and see spirits. That's why they was doing this. See that? That's what's going on here, family. I said, you ain't gonna get this nowhere else. You ain't gonna get this nowhere else. And then, to make matters even deeper, the time of Abraham, it speaks of the flatheads. But then it came a time the flatheads became extinct, or they wasn't around. So if we want to talk about the time of Abraham, we got to go to the flatheads. What time period was this? And here goes some more illustrations that they got of when they became adults, and you can see the cranial shape of the head. Like in this illustration right here. Quick, fast. Know what I mean? Giving you that work today. Showing you historical facts with the Oahspe lining right up with it. Come on, yo. Now these are adult flatheads right here. These are adults. So we showed you the infants. Now here go the adults. Here go to the adults. You see the head? It's like a cone. Remember the movie The Cone Heads? Now you know why, right? Now you know why them heads was compressed like that. That's why Oahspe is an ill book, because it renders up these things. And we see the evidence of the flatheads. You dig? The skulls is the proof. We got the illustrations on how it was done, and then we got the evidence of the skulls to show the proof. You know what I mean? They were the proof, the evidence left behind of the flatheads. Right there. Boom. See that? And again, what? And infants were strapped on boards, and another board strapped on the forehead to compress it. Just like that. Just like that. You know what I mean? But it started from here. That's where it started from. That baby right there in the mint. In that board. That baby in that board, it started there. And then from there, when they became adults, this was the end result. Flatheads. Let's go to the story of Abraham real quick. We'll talk about the flatheads briefly when Abraham went into Arabia. Let's touch on that. Let's go. Let's get there. Yeah. So we just read you the purpose of the flatheads, the reason why they did all that. Now, in the story of Abraham, when he goes to Arabia, it talks about these flathead people, but briefly, nothing drawn out, but it just mentions the flatheads. So I found that quite interesting. As we just read, the reason why they flatten the skull, to raise up seers, those capable of hearing and seeing spirits. So where we at with it? Okay, let me see. We're talking about Abraham ran up in Africa for the most part. Alright, here we go. I bet. Let me see. Boom. So this is, in the Oahspe, this is First Book of God, chapter 11. First Book of God, chapter 11. Let me see. I'm going to start with verse 19 and read, because it's really verse 20 where it talk about the flatheads, but I'm going to go back a couple verses. So this is during the time of Abraham. So this is the story of Abraham in the Oahspe. Verse 19. In those days, Arabia was divided into many kingdoms, some having one city and some having two. some having as many as 6 cities, and they were constantly at war with one another. And the victors always changed the name of the kingdoms. The largest and most powerful was always called itself the Sun Kingdom, after the manner of the Persians. Interesting. Verse 20. Verse 20. Hush. In the Sun's kingdom dwelled men and women of learning, and they had... Alright. In the Sun's kingdom dwelt men and women of great learning, and they had tablets of books and maps relating to heaven and earth, which books, maps, tablets were kept in libraries, the summit of which building was used as an oracle for consulting the spirits called Lords of Heaven. See that? So this said this was used for consulting spirits. Now here's the catcher. Verse 21. For which purpose a man or woman whose head has been flattened in infancy sat by a table covered with sand, and whereon the spirits wrote with the finger, and the person so communing with the spirit was called Aegean in the South Arabian language, and was in rank next to the Sun King. Now, no matter what wars took place, the libraries, the temples of the oracles, and the Aegeans were sacred and never suffered harm even between enemies. So right here, during the time of Abraham, the Arabians was compressing the skull flat. See that? So let's pull up some Egyptian pharaohs, some Egyptian skulls with flat heads. So right there in the story of Abraham, it shows you that there were flatheads during the time of Abraham. Now here's one depiction where they show a flathead. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick. Right here. Need 1 second. Boom. So we seen the flatheads in Peru or Central and South America. Those were where those flatheads came from. But then we got evidence of the flatheads coming out of course, Egypt. Boom. So they telling you the purpose of the flatheads, which is to compress the skull, to drive up the frontal lobe into the top regions of the brain, which makes you capable of tapping in to the clairvoyant, clairaudience, being capable of hearing and seeing spirits. Right? So what did the verse say about the Egyptian flatheads? It said what? It says, for which purpose a man or woman whose head had been flattened in infancy sat by a table covered with sand, whereupon the spirits wrote with the finger. See that? They telling you what they doing. They telling you what they doing. There were seers in Egypt who was communicating with who? What did it say? Hold on. Yeah. So the Egyptians show evidence of the flat skull, but what was the purpose of the flat skull? It said what? Where's that example? In the sun's kingdom dwelt men and women of learning, and they had tablets and books and maps relating to heaven and earth, which books, maps, and tablets were kept in a library, the summit of which building was used as an oracle for consulting with the spirits, called Lords of Heaven. So these oracles were consulting with the spirits, and the way they was able to consult with the spirits was how? For which purpose a man or woman whose head had been flattened in infancy sat by a tablet covered with sand, whereon the spirits wrote with the finger, and the person so communing with the spirits was called Aegean in South Arabian language, and was in rank next to the Sun King. You remember, like I've been saying, that when these angels want to when they want to create a stronghold on the planet, they'll go to the kingdom. They'll go to the strongest king, or they'll go to the king. But they'll use the oracles to communicate through the king. So the oracles will hear the words and write down the words, and then relay the words of the spirits to the king, and the king will stamp those words as law. And that's how spiritual revelations come to earth, spirit communion. Every revelation from the angels came that way. Moses received it from God, an angel, spirit communion, you know what I mean? And likewise with many others. So there go the evidence in Egypt of the flatheads and the purpose of the flatheads. You dig? So if you want to find the time of Moses, you got to find skulls of the flatheads in Egypt. You dig? That's how we moving, family. Because it's a vibes, yeah? Yeah, yo. Things are on deep in the blood clot. You dig? You dig? What we saying, fam? We talking about. For instance, what page my brother Selah? I'm not sure what y'all say. Said Joseph, he on some other. Let's block him. Let's put him in timeout. How about that? I mean, he's in the block party now. Yeah, he at the block party now. Yeah, we going in, yo. We going in. Showing you the evidence of these flatheads in history and the purpose of them. You dig? So with that, let's vibe for a minute. Let's go into the cosmos and take a vibe, yeah? Let's vibe out into the atmosphere. Shalom TV. We in the building. We signing out. We signing out, family. It was a great vibes tonight. Brought out some great information. Brought out the Kashmir Giants. Brought out science on the ions and the genetic remnants of the hair being yellow and white. We spoke on meteorites falling, burying things in the sand, cities in the sand, cities under the sand, the Sphinx under sand. Speaking on the flatheads, the purpose and reason why they flatten the skull, to raise up seers and oracles for spirit communication. Understand what's going on here. Hits the vibes. It's the vibes.